piling up the loot, prestige, influence, money, everything else. It's good to be bad, and Theodred, my friend, you done fucked up now, dude. You got caught. In fact, this is basically like his death at the Fords of Isen. We've got our companions back now. They're fleshed out in some orc gear. We've got a couple new companions. Probably not going to talk too much about our companions during this campaign. Maybe we'll talk about some of the specialized roles, but ultimately, you know, it's the normal assortment. We've got a handful of specialized warriors, and we got a scout, and we have an engineer. Now, it's a perfect position here to decimate this Rohirrim force. And we have designed a pretty lethal force here, considering that we're still in the mercenary stage, still marching around with an army of 130-ish troops. 50% archers, about 25% skirmishers, a smattering of wargs, and then the rest, of course, are just tough Orcs. The best way to describe the Orcs is really, really tough warriors that do decent damage. They're a little bit Huskarl-esque. Of course, they swing different types of weapons and stuff like that. We have different types of Orcs, but the Orcs, you know, the Chosen, the Wardens, these are just tough tier 5, tier 6, whatever infantry. You pound the enemy with arrows and javelins while they're attacking that square. You're going to win a lot of battles. And the Wargs have been, I would say, all in all, a nice surprise, right? They haven't been decimated by the Rohirrim cavalry. They're definitely outclassed, right? The Rohirrim cavalry are far higher level. A lot of the Wargs don't have shields, right? So you got to keep them moving. Can't really use them defensively like I would like to use cavalry in Bannerlord, but it's still very functional for what we're trying to do here. And I think it makes sense to have a few Uruks. Now, I forgot we have an ally. Our ally is immolating themselves. We're assisting a little army here that turned on Theodred, and we're going to let them immolate themselves as they charge headlong into the vanguard of the Rohirrim. And I realize we haven't done an intro in a while, so we'll give you a little map perspective after this battle and do a proper intro to the episode here. You are watching, of course, Tales from the Age of Men here. We're opening up a kill box here on this Rohirrim force. We don't have horse archers. I don't think the Uruks have horse archers, and I've been meaning to move north anyways, so this might be the last episode where we are terrorizing the Rohirrim. Quite frankly, the Rohirrim here are, they've lost the war of attrition, right? The Orcs, it's a combination of different, right? It's Dunlendings, and they're really alone. If you look at the battlefield map, right? The Rohirrim, more than anybody else, seem to be isolated. There's no help coming for the Rohirrim, right? It's not like Aragorn is going to show up. Now, maybe they intend to do stuff like that, right? Maybe they'll give them some friends in the finalized version of this mod. But I can tell you right now, they are succumbing here too. Obviously, the Dunlendings, the Isengarders are starting to return, and Dol Guldur has come down from the forests. Now, ironically, right, that's going to bring elven attention to Dol Guldur, right? We've already seen signs of that. We'll see if it continues in this campaign, and that is where we want to head back to, either Dol Guldur or to Gundabad. Gundabad was my original intent. We'll see how this goes. Now, they're actually surviving a lot longer than I expected. I guess they all have a shield, but they're hardly getting any kills, and they just melted. And now these little schoolboys are going to run back to the Rohirrim classrooms they came from, minus an arm, and we get our beat down proper on here again. We have built a doom stack in this campaign, and it has been a long time since we lost a battle. I'm not bragging, I'm just stating the facts, right? When you have a well-built mercenary army, I mean, I guess that's bragging. The point, though, is that if you build a really well-built orc army, I think you should win most of your fights against the Rohirrim. They're not spec'd out well for 1.2. Maybe in 1.3 it's going to be a different story, right? You add those charging cavalry and the AI with spear targeting of 1.3, different story. But 1.2, I fear no cavalry, that's for sure. We're going archer and infantry heavy, and we're drubbing everything. And of course, it was a similar army when we used the dwarves. Now, briefly during that dwarf campaign, we did use the Rohirrim forces to good effect, but I would never say it was to great effect, right? We never just destroyed everything in sight. and took on forces where we thought maybe we would lose, and we won anyways. You just can't do a lot with Bannerlord and cavalry in 1.2. And give you a brief overview, and again, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. You are watching our exploratory round of Tales of the Age of Men. We've got this bad guy, right? It's good to be bad. That's basically the theme of this campaign. We are sacking Rohirrim villages and mangling Rohirrim lords. We haven't done any killing yet, but I'm itching to do that. We're going to start lopping off heads here. I don't really care too much about the storyline, right? We're just going to cause carnage with this force. This guy is loyal to the Gundabad Orcs, so we are going to head north eventually, but this is where the action has been, so we've been hanging out here. I think it's starting to change though, right? I think the north, there's going to be more action, and that's why, right? The elves have taken Dol Guldur Fortress. Like, I never expected that to happen. They're driving up into Gundabad. And that, I think, is the ultimate challenge for this mod, right? Early on, at least, that seems to be the toughest thing, to face the elves. Everywhere you see elves, they seem to win. And by all accounts, their units are really overpowered. I guess I don't mean overpowered, but very powerful, right? Elves in Middle-earth were really powerful. They make it sound like Legolas can kill 50 people by himself. So, you got 300 Legolas, and you got a problem. We're still, consistently, carrying over the max of troops, and we consistently continue to recruit troops to basically make up for those deserters. It slows us down a little, right? There's no doubt, but it allows way more troops onto the battlefield, and I think that's far more important in the mercenary stage, right? You're not going to get caught by 362. It slows you down a little bit, but you're still faster than large forces. And anything, similar size, if you have some good tactics, you should be able to make it work. And this guy is fucking trapped, right? We engage here. I think that guy will get dragged in. Oh shit, we just got captured. It looks like that guy's not dragged into the fight. Damn. Oh wait, okay, yeah, he is. It just took a second there. The first screen, it was only us. That makes this kind of a mop-up. But we're going to continue to narrate and continue to play. I'm still sick, so I'm going to do the best job I can here, fellas, to make things interesting, to explain philosophically what we're doing tactically. I will explain the constituencies of my diarrhea this morning. I'm just kidding. Didn't have diarrhea, and I won't be talking about it, even if I do. And we've got a good battlefield here just to milk the enemy, minimize losses, and maximize gains. Take the high view here with our archers and skirmishers. It looks like they're barreling in. And this is just death on wheels, right? They're charging a force twice their size. This happens a lot with cavalry. The AI doesn't understand how to counterpunch with cavalry. It generally just charges, right? So you're going to just run right headlong into a whole bunch of armored orcs. Half of them have spears or axes, just chopping horsemen to death. And look at how savage this character is, right? Just trucks guys from their horse. He's just incredibly fun to play. Decking every other rider to the ground, then he growls at them. It's a sheer joy to play and a menace for the enemy, right? We're still getting used to him, too. Wait till we've figured out the timing, right? Wait till we have this dialed in well. It's a very slow axe swing, and we do have a faster axe, but I've just been using the long one 80% of battles because you can hit everything. You can hit cavalry, and of course you can obviously still cut down infantrymen left and right, and especially archers. You do have to get used to the warg. It has like a little surge jump, right? In other words, you will charge with it, the double tap of your forward button, and it almost kind of surges and jumps, and that can disrupt your timing. I imagine that's something that will be probably near the end of the campaign. We'll have dialed in pretty well. And the axe isn't quite long enough to hit guys when you're behind their horse. You have to be astride them. That said, oh shit, I think that guy looked like a Witch King. I think the leader of the Easterlings is somebody that we want to talk to. We may switch employers here. Not so much that we dislike the Orcs, but they've been, well, I should say not they're all Orcs. Dislike the Isengarders, but they're really disjointed. They don't seem to have, and it makes sense, right? They don't have any cities here, so we just chop down their noble women, just crumple to the ground here. This character is ferocious. I don't know the last time I had a low-level character that felt this fucking deadly. And he's amazingly fun to play, right? His fucking shit's growling. His warg just flies across the battlefield. This is, of course, a character spec that I really think is optimized. Now, it's not as effective in 1.3, right? If I was playing 1.3, I would probably be dying a lot more because arrows and projectiles are a lot more accurate. But boy, for chopping down Rohirrims, right, for the double decapitation, this long axe is a sheer joy. And of course, you can make the warg attack units that are on the ground or even attack their horse. It is absolutely, it's almost criminally fun, right? It's almost so much fun it should be wrong or illegal. Just cutting down these little squires of Rohan. And that's about a typical battle, right? We're getting a 10 or a 20 to 1 upgrade and kill ratio consistently in these battles. We're getting to the point where our army is, it's not maxed out, but it's 80% of the way. And how glorious is this, right? I think this is tier 7. Tier 7 or tier 6 berserkers. And I'm eager to get more troops from both Dol Guldur and Gundabad because they have different types of units. The Isengarders don't really seem to have a lot of shock troops. They have a lot of guys with those giant tower shields, those ominous black tower shields. We want to mix in some other troops to this campaign. There's an astonishing amount of troops in this campaign. I actually think they overdid it just because of the amount of effort they put in. I think they probably should have spread that effort around. It would be like, you know, you have a Valentine's dinner for your wife and you spend 4 hours at a you-pick flower place picking flowers, right, to make the most incredible bouquet, and then you don't study at all the meal you're making her that night and you burn it and the fucking noodles are undercooked. And, you know, it just seems like if you're going to make that kind of an effort with the art, with the units, you're really setting the bar high, extremely high for the mod. And I can't help but wonder if they're going to, you know, if some parts are going to seem extremely well polished while other parts will be a little clumsy. We'll see. I definitely have faith that they're going to work their asses off, right? These guys are clearly dedicated, but I am a little bit worried. I guess the YouTube analogy would be like spending 6 hours on the thumbnail for a video where you put barely any effort into making the video. It doesn't make sense, of course. The YouTubers will also tell you that the thumbnail is the most important part of a... I'm not certain I believe that. Maybe for one episode, but I think our channel is a pretty good evidence that thumbnails aren't everything. I make them all myself, fellas, and you know, some of them take me 10 or 15 minutes to make. But you guys seen them, right? Our thumbnails aren't that fancy, and I guess I can't leave troops here. I'm sort of botching this while my narration goes astray. I was trying to donate prisoners, and you can't donate them if it's not the same kingdom that you're part of, so that sucks. But I think, you know, the content is what keeps people coming back, and I got a lot of guys who say, hey, you know, your commentary, I'll watch you play anything. Right? That's very meaningful to me as a content maker, because it tells me that Bannerlord 3 comes out down the road, or if we switch to a different game, which is not in the cards in the short term, but long term, there's a pretty good chance that some of the guys that watched before are going to watch me play again, because the commentary is a big part of the draw for whatever they're getting out of it, whether you like my dark sense of humor, the historical anecdotes, whatever it might be. Some guys say they sleep to me, which is, you know, it's a little bit strange, but man, whatever. It's a free world. So I don't often show you this kind of stuff. We'll do a lot of this off camera. Try not to apologize too much for it. We're pretty rich at this stage. We're in the mercenary stage, and we are going to become a vassal. I haven't decided whether it's going to be Gundabad or Dol Guldur. I don't think it's going to be down here, because the Orcs, like I said, they're just really disjointed. I mean, this army and other armies have been sieging here for days, and it's like the Orcs don't do anything about it, right? They have tons of forces, or at least lots of armies. If they all fought together, You know, and from a role-playing level, from like a Lord of the Rings level, it kind of makes sense. They're all infighting, and they don't have any coordination. If they would just gather their evil forces, right, they would obliterate all the forces of good. You know, there's repeated fights in the book and the movie where the orcs not working together ends up being like their own worst enemy. But it's strange that in the campaign here, they're this disjointed. Like the Isengarders almost never make armies, right? This army that they have here, that's it. They have one army with 100 troops in it. And, you know, I would imagine the biggest part is they lack influence, right? If you don't have cities, and they have no cities, you don't have influence, right? Because you don't have a bunch of people in your city pumping your YouTube channel, right? They don't have any supporters, right? So you got all these little sort of riffraff white hand armies, and there's, you know, there's like 500 right here between our forces and their forces, clearly enough to defend. But instead of defending, they just kind of go from village to village, having wild drunken parties. And every time you think they're coming in, come on in, fellas, come on in to attack, right? There's a force inside the castle that would probably sally out. Instead, they just run to the other village and drink more ale. So, try not to drive you guys too crazy here, but I think we're going to change employers. I mean, they're just not doing anything. And the other forces are, right? This is Dol Guldur, so they have Helm's Deep. I think we'll just switch employers here. Now, I forget, you gotta leave. I don't know. The last time we left Kingdom, we had serious consequences for it, so I'm kind of wondering if we should maybe find some forces of Isengard here and see what they got going on here. Seems like they got this under wraps. And Kamul the Easterling, that's their chieftain. He's in charge of Dol Guldur, right? That's the guy. So I don't think... Look how tall he is. He's fucking 12 feet tall. I mean, he likes us now. That's why you do stuff like that. For whatever reason, they like you almost as much if you do that, right? You just come into the end of a useless castle siege as like if you save their ass, right? If there's a force of the Rohirrim attacking them and they were going to lose if we didn't. They say basically the same shit. And this is... I don't think that's good. So... Let's see here. And we're going to have to run back to the dipshits. Just bear with me here. We're gonna run back and change employers here. I'm gonna edit some of this stuff out of here, but you guys, sometimes you guys can see my mind whirring here. It's not a very good system. You can definitely just leave, but the last time I did that, it was in the dwarf campaign, and we suffered serious. And we didn't say keep our keeps, right? We had no keeps. We still switched sides, and it was like seriously negative consequences, as if the system is different, right? In vanilla Bannerlord, you can go mercenary to mercenary to mercenary, and no one gives a shit, right? As long as you don't have possessions, right? As long as you don't have a fort or something like that, and say, yeah, I want to keep it, eat shit. And of course, now they all run from me. Yeah, the joys of being a content maker. I am at work. We'll probably get a fire call right in the middle of this right now that we're having all these disasters. I can't chase anybody down. I'm just trying to tell these guys fuck off. And here's Ugluk right here. This is a great example. He's got a sizable army. They must have 800 forces here, and they do nothing. They just let this guy siege and starve the city. So we're out of here, right? We're just gonna... unless they attack now. I mean... It would be really good money for us, right? To be part of, but look at what they're doing here. They're just running off. So fuck these guys. Let's change employers. Fucking herding bonuses. Just give me one of these fucking guys to talk to. It doesn't matter. Any of these fucking guys. Fuck off. You guys are discoordinated dipshits. We're out of here. The night lice. Gonna go find a new employer. We'll take these troops, though. They're low level. But again, we continue to believe that having an extra 20 troops in critical battles is way more important. And look at this shit. Now, the StrengthenAI mod is probably not helping the fact, right? Because that Rohirrim force, they get free food, so they can essentially sit at siege for a long time. If you don't know that, the StrengthenAI mod gives a little bit of food each day and a little bit of troops to people. And look at this fucking guy. This guy's got insane stats. MAUL the Easterling. They have done this, right? They've gone to a bunch of different lords within the game, and they have just boosted their stats through the fucking roof. And that's a pretty good example there. Now, I don't know where this fucking guy went. This is probably the easiest way to do it, right? It's just to summon him to our location here, right? We sent a messenger and said, we're a mercenary force. We order you to meet us right here. Thank you. We can get married? There's a perfectly looking troglodyte. Now, she's ultra powerful. I'm a little bit hesitant here because look how strong she is, but you know what? Fuck it. It's not the end of the world. It's not like she's going to kill 40 people per fight. And there are other very powerful forces out there, but that's like an insanely powerful character we just married. She's like much, much stronger than her husband. And I can see the back of her mask. Look at you. You're wearing a mask, lady. I know you're a woman. You could like see it sort of end at the hem of her dress. That was pretty funny looking. So we're getting an incredibly rich contract here from Dol Guldur. The reason I'm not joining the kingdom at this stage, let's try this too. I haven't really experimented with this. I'm a little nervous it'll crash. We've requested 2 trolls. So it says they'll arrive in 3 days. We'll see how that works. That's a strange process. It sounds like you can, the same way you can summon, you know, the emperor to you, summon a king and he just shows up, right? And roll out the green carpet of grass and he comes running. You can also evidently recruit from a long distance. And I would imagine on some level they did that because you can't recruit your local troops wherever you are, right? Your troops don't really follow you, especially, you know, with the hostile places. So let's head north here into the Rohirrim land, see if we can't find any enemies to squash. But the Rohirrim are wobbling though, right? You don't see armies everywhere, and that's because they're all in fucking prison. That's another interesting element that I'm curious about, right? Yeah, we want to fight Eowyn. We'll cut down Eowyn. Of course, we can't catch anybody. Turn around. I don't think we could catch her even if we weren't over our limit. We also might get captured by her over our limit still. And you run into these moments sometimes in a campaign where there's nothing going on. And a lot of times I just edit for you fellas, right? And you don't have to endure this shit. If we don't have something pop up shortly, that is exactly what we will do, is just do some circles here. I don't really want to participate in the keep siege, right? There's a lot of guys that are like, how come you don't join? Because I mentioned it before, you lose like fucking 50 troops. It's a disaster for your party. We spend a while upgrading this force of mercenaries, and then you just get blown apart. Here we go. We got some battle. This guy, of course, it's at night. It's unbelievable, man. It feels like there are 18-hour nights and 6-hour days, because it seems like every battle is at night. Now, this fucking guy, again, is another situation where they eagerly attacked with the power bar in our favor. So thank you very much. We're going to obliterate this fella here. It might be time to head north though, right? The lands down here are sort of disheveled, right? There's not a lot of armies. Even our allies aren't making a lot of armies. The forces of Dol Guldur are, but it might just be time to fast forward the campaign. Head up to Elven lands, head up to Gundabad. Gundabad's a little bit dead as well. The frozen areas around Gundabad, we started in Dol Guldur and went up there pretty early on, and they are pretty quiet. Maybe we'll go up there and kind of show you a little bit of that. But the elves are up there, right? I definitely want to face off against the elves. I've yet to see an elf in combat in this game, so I've heard they're badass, right? We're probably going to get slapped around a little bit. And maybe that's just what we need to get captured. Right? And that's not that we want to get captured. I think guys appreciate when we don't win every single fight on the channel. It's not realistic. Bannerlord is difficult. Being a mercenary is difficult, right? You don't have a lot of room for error. We've got this little tiny force. Now, it'd be very hard to lose this battle. We would basically have to intentionally fuck up, have archers charge, withhold fire or something. But, you know, your mercenary stage, the biggest thing you're in danger of is when you're trying something sort of audacious. When there's 600 sieging and you join it and the enemy, it far outnumbers your forces. Or, you know, if you get caught or have a battle you barely win and there's more forces coming, very easy to get ripped apart in those situations. There are enemies coming up on this plateau right into our kill box. I still got to get used to that flying, growling. It's jarring. And it might not be something that you know, maybe other guys out there have mastered it that I'm not going to be able to by the time this campaign ends. It's a very jerky motion. Right there is a good example, right? He like surged through all the troops and I swung right through everything. Damn, they already reached our archers. A little bit sloppy here. Oh, these are just infantrymen. Okay, that's good. We got them surrounded pretty good. I thought they had reached one of our archer lines. We should be able to get those guys clear. And they are now in the doom stack. We can dump the square on them. Throw a bunch of javelins into their back. I'm going to miss these javelins when we go up north. I don't think the other orcs have throwing weapons. It does seem like the creators of the mod, either intentionally or just by chance, really minimized throwing axes in this mod. I mean, it's especially jarring once you've played War Sales, where it seems like 85% of the units have a throwing weapon. I would prefer there's more specialization, even to War Sales, right? The fact that it seems like every tier 5 shock troop that have a giant axe also happen to have a throwing weapon. It seems a little bit incongruous. And these guys are just completely shredded. They just insta-died. They got 6 kills or something. Take some prisoners here. And probably time to move in a northerly direction. Characters, you know, he's kind of slowly moving along. You know, what we need to really power level at this stage is a keep siege, right? We need 900 to siege with our 200 and rack up throwing points, rack up some engineering skills, rack up some two-handed axe skills. On one hand, he feels like a menace. On the other hand, he still feels really low level, level 18. I don't know. It almost feels like I'm doing something wrong. We've had campaigns like this where the guy was level 28 at this stage. It just sort of feels like his leveling is slow. We're rich. We're racking up, you know, accolades and influence and all the other shit, but it seems like we're just having money time. Now, we keep doing quests, and I talked about it before. That's a great way to transport troops. I'll do 2 or 3 quests where you send your companions, you know, on the quests, and it takes them 2 weeks. And then you drag those troops wherever it is you go, right? It's a really good way to, especially in the mercenary stage, to sort of juggle extra troops. And I think it's time to head north. I mean, we can fight Dunlendings and just completely waste your time. I don't think we're going to do that, though. You know what? I'm going to do this shit off camera. Do a couple battles here. You guys will hardly notice. We'll do a little bit of editing. And we'll be up heading up north. They're not going to do it. And we've got 150 troops. I think let's take a shot at this. This is risky, but, you know, we're going to play this campaign with some risk. Ordinarily, I would definitely pass on this. But there's 50 defenders, 70 defenders. We've got really good troops. I've been irritated as fuck watching this Rohirrim force just siege this castle down. There's 2,800 forces of Isengard just staring at them, right? Not helping us. I think before we head north, we're over anyways. We'll lose a lot of deserters on the way north. Let's give this a shot. And if we win, right, it's huge accolades. We're going to get tons of influence, great loot. We'll get tons of upgrades. I think it's worth it to give this a shot. And of course, it'll make good watching. You know, we don't save scum, so we're going to lose some of these, but I think that's winnable. We're slightly not favored, but this guy, I don't know. This guy seems to have the it factor, right? And what we'll do for a battle like this is more javelins. Even more killing power early on. You could probably argue get rid of the shield, right? It's useful from time to time. For sure, three javelins and an axe is the long-term build for this campaign. Especially once we hit the 250 throwing perk where it's blowing up shields. Be interesting, right? Because we're going to be killing, I think, tier 8 and tier 9. I think they might even have tier 10 elves. And I think it'll still kill them in one shot, right? Just go right through their shield, insta-kill them. Talk about OP. But we'll see. Maybe not. Maybe, you know, maybe because they're so high level or whatever, have great armor. Maybe it doesn't work that way. I guess we're gonna have to tune in to find out, right? We'll put the proverbial lure here for you fellas. Now our allies spreading out way down the hill. I'm not thrilled about that. We have to use our ally here on some level. You know, even if that means kind of cowering behind him with some of our archer divisions. We have a great location to fight this because we're going to be able to kite. I've got good visibility, and critically, we're not fighting right in the middle of the trees. Like to kill 4 or 5 elite troops here. Just smoke them with javelins. Kill some of these Javcav too. Man, they're nasty. Let's square this 6th.
Are you all? Hurry up. Are you all? Then are you staying?
And this is pretty nasty. There's a lot of cavalry here, and they have a vanguard. So as we kite this vanguard, their cavalry is going to be ripping up our archers. We may not win this fight. This is definitely going to be a hard one. That square is going to do a good job distracting. It drew a lot of attention there. We do have our archers in a great spot here. We're going to have to start killing some of this cavalry here before it really menaces our archers. You know, you want to kite, but if they have 100 guys charging, you just take serious losses. These guys just cutting right through here. It's not 1.3. They're not just blasting everybody, but it doesn't mean they're worthless. They just don't aim their spear as well, right? This is 1.2. Archers are probably 50% more dangerous to cavalry than they are in 1.3, and it's mostly the kill rate of the cavalry, right? In other words, cavalry kill like 30% less. Keep moving, boys. They're coming hard. They're really infatuated with our core here. I think we have 1 speed banner, and that might be the division, right? We have a 15% speed banner. It's been very hard to find banners in this campaign. We don't have any of the higher tier banners. But we're making it work. That was just fast enough for those guys to get out of there. And they can charge. We can split them. 171 there. The left side is the most messy, right? We've got skirmishers over here raining hell on the enemy now. We've got an infantry division to square and feed them. And we're starting to string the enemy forces out here pretty well. They keep breaking away from forces. That's going to be their doom. We're going to suffer a lot of losses here, but that's all right. We're not, you know, there's no irreplaceable troops. It takes you a while to upgrade troops, but for a big battle, you're just going to lose troops. That's all there is to it. You know, if we're going to win really difficult battles, sometimes you just have to accept the fact that you're going to have 70 losses. I don't think I'm quite ready to charge with these guys here. Let's give them better angles at least. But we have archers beautifully behind them and on their right flank, spraying right through the gaps. Infantry here is going to swallow up the enemy's right. And this force is cooked. They'll be routing soon. Lop off a few more heads. That ought to do it. The Deathman fizzes green. There they go. And kind of easy, right? Maybe we have 40 or 50 casualties. We might have more upgrades than casualties here. And we're definitely honed in with this army. This army is deadly. Archers might present a challenge for it. Be interesting. There doesn't appear to be any archer armies in the game. That might be some feedback I have for the developers. The elves especially should be like 60% archers, right? The problem is that the AI doesn't really know how to use archers, right? It'll use them okay if it has a huge vanguard of infantry, I guess. I guess that's probably the way to have them coded. Just to put a couple of defensive squares or lines out in front. Gonna help you out here, brother. Oh shit, you see that surge? All of a sudden my warg did its little hop and surge, and it surged right past that guy. Definitely gonna take time to get used to that. Just broke his shield and killed him. It's great. Then we kill the guy's horse. Trample over his body, and it's good to be bad, friends. Man, this guy's fun to play. And I think that's a good final battle before we head north. It really kind of feels like we not single-handedly, but we're a huge factor in eliminating the Rohirrim in this campaign. We can head north now. 49 casualties. I mean, that's a great ratio. 280 kills. That's going to be just heaps of money and loot. And 35 upgrades, right? We piled up the upgrades. Our characters getting steadily, slowly, but steadily stronger. And we're making our way here, fellas. This has been a lot of fun for me. It hasn't been fun to have the cold the whole time I've been doing this here. We'll just auto-resolve the end of this, but we're going to continue to narrate. Enough guys don't have a problem with how I sound at this stage, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys that even when I'm not at my best, you guys are still enjoying the content. Thanks for all the well wishes, of course, right? I always appreciate it. I don't think it matters. It's the feeling that somebody cares. And I've got a wife who's unbelievably caring. So you guys can say nice things and get better soon. You know, it's the polite thing to say, but I just gotta let this virus run its course. We'll spit it into the toilet afterwards, and carry on here. This campaign's gonna carry on here now that I've talked about spitting and flushing and a bunch of other horrific shit here. Hopefully I haven't lost too many of you fellas. Do some upgrades here, and I think it is indeed time to head north. We're gonna get, you know what? It's good to be bad, right? This is great. It's kind of perfect. Go be a Gundabad orc. And maybe we'll help in the lands of Dol Guldur too, right? They're obviously having problems with the elves. It's time to kill some elves in this campaign. And we'll see if our orc characters are up for it. So, if you want to see more from this campaign, of course, as I always say, please subscribe. If you want to see when new episodes come out, hit that notify button. Gonna make sure we have enough food here and sell some goods before we take off. I appreciate it if you'd hit that like button on the way out, friends. And with all that said, Throrgash, and I will see you in the north next time.